All right, what's up, guys? Probably need to put my stuff on. Out of character. Oh, okay. I'm in a little bit of a rush here. There's going to be some stuff. I'm going to hit the pause button. Yeah. I got it fast that time. All right, 1 second.
Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Doop, doop, doo. All right. I'm actually going to switch things around right here. Here, bring this over here so I can see. So I got two screens now. And yesterday, if you were watching, I was looking at that one over there a lot because I was using that one as my monitor. And I realized that probably isn't the best for keeping this connection with the audience and looking in. So now it's like I'm talking to me straight ahead for the monitor. And yeah. So, all right. So there's not too much of a podcast before the podcast today. I'm just going to get into it. I'm not super cramped for time, but I'm a little cramped for time. So I'll just get right on to it. But I will say this. The next several episodes are going to be my review and biggest takeaways from Funnel Hacking Live, speaker by speaker. And I might not go in order. I haven't decided yet. Probably won't. But I'm going to tell you what I learned, what hit home with me, what didn't. And I'm going to come about this from a way that I feel like this Funnel Hacking Live was structured more in the personal development side of things than actionable, tactical things. Although there was a very tactical speech that I'll get to by somebody, and I'm going to talk about why that was a good thing and a bad thing. For at least from my viewpoint, it was, I'll just save it. I'll save it for when I get there, but there's a little bit of an open loop for you. So, here we go. I'm actually going to hit the button here. I'm going to record an intro first. And I'm going to talk about how you might be thinking backwards, which actually might be forwards, but it's backwards. Okay, so here we go. Are you thinking backwards? Are you thinking about where you are actually trying to go instead of the steps that you're taking to get there? If you start at the front, you might be in trouble and you might end up going somewhere you didn't even intend to go. So stick around today. Let's cue up the music and let's get going. Okay. Hey, everyone, this is Marty White, and welcome to Marketing Siege Radio. Today, I'm going to officially begin my review and standpoint from where I was sitting in Funnel Hacking Live and what went on, what hit home with me, what hit, what didn't, what missed. And I'm going to be coming at it from the angle of gamification, of course, and personal development. As you know by now, I was just sitting a few minutes ago and I was like, I at least ask myself this question every few days just to keep myself on track. It's like, what is the end goal? What are you trying to do? And more often than not, whether it's health, wealth, or relationships, any of the three core desires, I'm trying to make a game out of it because, intentional hard work is fun. Like life is going to be hard work, but whenever it's chosen hard work, that's actually pretty close to the definition of a game. And there's so many benefits whenever you do it that way. And I wanted to put that spin on this, and I wanted to come at it from the angle of that I saw it at, that I've been chasing down, even though I've said before I don't chase things down, but this is something that's worth chasing down: personal development. And I believe that this year's Funnel Hacking Live was more set up in a way that resonated with a personal development message rather than coming at it from a wealth message, which, you would think you come to a marketing event like Funnel Hacking Live and it's all about making money. But this year had very much more of a relationship component to it, a connection to it. And that's what I wanted to explore in the next several coming episodes. I'm going to warn you right now, they're not going to be, well, they might not be in order. I am going to cover all the speakers. I am going to be sprinkling in some guests here in the next coming episodes. I'm still trying to line all those out. And I would just like to say that if I get off for a day or two, I'm going to come back because I got this whole notebook right here that if you're listening to me on my podcast, you can't see. But if you are watching the behind the scenes of this on my YouTube, you can see this notebook I'm holding up right here. Took very detailed notes, and I'm going to break this down. So first and foremost, I'm actually going to cover two people today. And one of them, of course, is a speaker that comes on multiple times. Well, both of them were speakers that came on multiple times, but one of them is the MC, Divine Brown, who is awesome. And the other one is, of course, Russell Brunson. And I'm going to speak about what they said. So Divine Brown, like I told a story in one of the very first podcast episodes I ever did, how Divine had this little skit that he did talking about, his old hip hop gang that he used to hang out with. And, they had this thing like, I bet you won't level up. I bet you won't level up. I bet you won't. I bet you won't. I bet you won't level up. That was me jumping and clapping. So like that got me so hyped back, not this Funnel Hacking Live, but the Funnel Hacking Live before. And I'm like, oh man, you don't know what you just did. You challenged a gamer to level up. And that kind of rang with me. And it really speaks to his role. It speaks to what it does. His job is to get the energy up in the room so the crowd is receptive to the speakers coming up. And I got to tell you, I've never seen anyone better than him at what he does. He comes out and he kind of tells his story as it relates to the speakers. And he also does so in a way that makes you emotionally receptive, but he also, through all his dancing and stuff like that, made it to where you were physiologically receptive. Your body was actually primed and full of energy. And whenever you're in a crowd of 4,500 people, it doesn't just add together, it multiplies and compounds, and it is just amazing. He talked about his ups, he talked about his downs, he talks about his personal life, he talks about this, that, and the other, whatever's in line with whoever's about to come up. And it was just very interesting to see it, and just hats off to him. I'll probably mention him several other times throughout the next coming episodes, but for an MC, by and far the best I've ever seen. So next comes on Russell Brunson for the first time, and he He, starts off, of course, with stories, just stories the whole time. And it's amazing to watch what happens whenever there's a master storyteller in front of that many people. Again, it's not that addition effect, it's that compounding effect. You can just feel the energy in the room. Like, it's just something about being there live. Like, I used to be in a band, play heavy metal and stuff. And I used to go to a lot of metal concerts, and it's like one of those equivalent to like whenever the kick drum, the bass drum is mic'd up and it starts that double kick drum, and it's like hitting you in the chest. It's like that. Like, there's no other feeling in the world. That feeling used to get my heart pumping. And through his messaging, that began to happen. And he started out the event with the thing that was going to connect everyone in the room instantly. He came out and he told some stories about, all the t-shirts, kind of cracked a joke about how many t-shirts were coming. He told a story about the ups and downs that happened. And he told the story that he had told on his podcast about messaging Garrett White one day whenever he was having a tough time, and Garrett sent him the text message, "Heavy is the head that wears the crown," or it was something along, like, I know that was what he sent. I can't remember if Russell was having a bad day or if he was just like, "Hey, what's that thing that you said? Because it was really good." Because that's the way it really feels. Like, there is so much weight on the leader, on the entrepreneur, and it's a very lonely road. And instantly everyone connected in that room based off of that. Everyone has gone through that, that's tried to build a business, that's tried to start a movement, that's tried to be their message. And he goes on and he talks about how he was, he showed one of his earliest videos of him selling from stage, and he, calling himself Fat Russell, Nerdy Russell, Awkward Russell, talked about how super uncomfortable he was at first. And again, everybody just started connecting more and more and more. But all that's not really the focus of what I'm trying to talk about on this episode. What my focus is, it got everybody in the right state to be receptive to his message. And he spoke on the concept of hook, story, and offer, which all marketing messages are built off of. It's this hook. What are you going to do to hook the fish? Get them to stop scrolling, get their attention. The story, what story are you going to tell them to make them receptive, just like he had done, to the offer? And that's when the sales process itself begins. But the way he taught it paralleled the exact same way as funnel hacking itself. Reverse engineering. He started teaching with the offer. He went through and he explained what the outcome of all this was. Where are we going? Just like Tony Robbins talks about with his rapid planning method, same thing. It's like you're taking them to this offer. So let's start here at the offer. And the offer is built off of identifying false beliefs and doing things that are going to that are going to satisfy that need to soothe that pain from the false belief. Stephen Larson's Xavier model is amazing for doing that. And then he backtracks off of that. It's like, okay, now what's a story that's going to get them receptive, in the mood to believe that sort of thing? And then out of that story, there are several hooks. There have already been several hooks of, me just explaining this. The hook to this podcast is, are you thinking backwards? And like, that could be, that could be just somebody's attention grabber if they're in this pain right now of like, am I going about this the right way? Have you ever said that to yourself? It's like, man, I feel like I'm doing this backwards. And it's like, are you thinking backwards? It's not that it's sort of like reading minds, but it's just a hook to grab attention. And he explained this so eloquently and in such a way that it really, made it seem very, very simple, which simple and easy are not the same thing. You see, for a long time, like basically this whole podcast has been my chronicling of a journey to figure out my hook story and offer. And if you go back and listen, there's not going to be a lot of things that exactly mesh up the right way. It's not that my story's changed. It's just like, which stories am I telling? When am I telling them? And, what are my hooks? Who am I talking to? All these things. And within all of this, like everybody sort of begins to understand that this is simple, yes, but we've all been trying this for a long time. It's like, but Russell, blah, 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 blah. It's like a secondary false belief. So, he comes in and he soothes the end of this presentation with some more stories. He talks about hope. He gives the people hope. He talks about one of the speakers coming up that my wife ended up knowing from the job she worked at. Talked about her unorthodox or unconventional book funnel. And, talked about how quick that blew up as soon as that one little piece was put in. It's like, there's hope. And he talked about all these iterations that came before what came to be known as ClickFunnels, and talked about how he went through all of these failures, all these ridiculous things, and it finally led to that moment where 4,500 entrepreneurs were in that room right then. So he, tied that lesson into how failure was a stepping stone. And then he showed the video from last year's Funnel Hacking Live about here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the round pegs and the square holes, which everyone identified again. So as soon as some pain started to come up, there was something in there that came and soothed that in. So I would just want to leave you with, how can you do that, to your customers? Chances are you're a business owner if you're listening to a podcast called Marketing Siege Radio. But also, how can you do this to yourself? How can you make a game out of testing these hooks, testing these offers, testing these stories? Because more often than not, it's going to fail. And part of every good game is taking away the fear of failure and inserting the hope for success, just the chance, because that's all we need, is just a little small light at the end of the tunnel. So remember, you're one upgrade away. All right. I got to get out of here fairly quickly. It's been fun.